Works for the Department of Defense in some very highly classified areas and with space-enabled warfare, but we'll leave it at that because that's all he can say. And he basically wants to warn the public about what's open intelligence of what's happening. And he also told me off air, and he's going to repeat it, a lot of people in the military and Defense Department are awake. These are good people by and large. That's why 70+% of all donations to Republicans and to Obama in this race and the last are to Ron Paul, because they know Ron Paul's telling the truth. They know. They had a Bloomberg article 2 weeks ago, a headline, "Pay this man money so he can fire you," was the joke headline, because he says he'll cut government. The people in government realize you've got to get rid of this cancer. They'd rather be homeless than let this tyranny go through. So joining us is Joe Joseph, Department of Defense civil servant, to break down the National Continuity Program, NCP program, mission support activities, which is unprecedented. We have our article that is at Infowars.com that just went up minutes ago, going through all of this, that I'll give you the title of. Right now, it's military to designate U.S. citizens as enemies during collapse. FEMA continuity of government plan, prep, total takeover of society, dispatching military domestically under economic collapse emergency. And that's what's so important. We are designated the exact same way combatants in Afghanistan or Iraq are, or Libya. Joe Joseph, again, thank you for joining us over the phone.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Alex.
Well, I've talked enough at the start of the show and in your intro. This is complex subject matter. Why are you going public? What can you tell the people that's open source?
Well, as a civil servant, you know, everybody takes an oath no matter what level of service that you provide to the country. And it's the same oath that the president takes all the way down to active duty military. And when you take that oath to support and defend the Constitution, you're supposed to take it seriously, I guess you could say. So with that said, it's my duty to provide the people who are my boss with information to make them aware, because, you know, an informed public can really make a difference, but they have to do something. They can't sit on their hands and just sit there and let this stuff happen. And that's going on for far too long. So hopefully by giving this information out, we can raise some awareness and get people angry. And that's really what needs to happen. I mean, people need to get angry. We need to see civil disobedience. You know, you don't have to consent. Silence is consent in the eyes of the law. And that's the biggest thing that people need to understand. Don't be silent anymore. It's time to speak out. You know, you brought up Ron Paul. Ron Paul is probably the last best hope we have right now to turn things around. He's it. And that's why, like you said, active duty military is the largest contributor to his campaign. Out of all the other candidates combined, he gets more than they do. So it's very important that we take the time now so that our children don't end up having, I can't even imagine the world that they're going to live in, considering what we deal with now.
Well, it's a world, Joe, where Corzine can take $1 billion+ and be caught in perjury, and he isn't even going to get in trouble.
Absolutely. You know, we live, the rule of law doesn't apply anymore. Now it's the rule of men. And we need to reinstitute the rule of law. And the only way to do that, and people, we have the power. The people have the power in this country. The powers that be, this elitist cabal that runs things, and they do, the special interest, they pull the puppet strings of our non-representing representatives. They're the ones that put up this smokescreen to have you think you don't have the power. But it's your labor that funds all of these efforts, all of these illegal wars and everything else. And you have the power. Each and every person listening to this show tonight has the power to change things. And that's why I'm here, is because I feel compelled, I feel duty-bound to educate people and give them the knowledge, arm them with the knowledge to be able to fight back.
Well said, Joe. Now, we've got in front of us what your wife directed us to.
Yes.
There with your family in the background today, and you're home from work now and can cover it. Statement of work, Federal Emergency Management Agency, National Continuity Program. She sent us emails linking to public contracts last week, and she called up this week and said, look, you got the wrong documents. Yes, Department of Defense gave out the contracts to prepare activating the FEMA camps, but this is the one that gets into the total takeover of government. And it says COG, break-ins on media, surveillance, the Blue Force. Go through this document with us.
It's a fascinating document. And first of all, just so everybody understands, this is all public information. This is what's called a solicitation for contract. And basically, the government has a website, fedbizops.gov, where they put out draft statements of work, and contractors will go and bid for the work. It's a very convoluted, hard to search through system, which is why things are very easy to overlook. Case in point, if you wanted to look up contracts, you type in Department of Homeland Security, you're going to see thousands of contracts that come up, and you'd have to comb through each and every one of them to find it unless you know the key words and the key acronyms.
Well, it's got 35 agencies under it. It's probably hundreds of thousands of contracts.
Absolutely. I mean, and like I said, and that's what makes it so difficult. So I can totally understand how, it may have been missed or misinterpreted, and it's very easy to do. Just recently I saw a solicitation, Department of Education, wanting 500 militarized shotguns. Really? But this is all public information. So this
and expanding on that, I've probably been to 20 urban warfare drills, researched this for 14 years, 13 years or so, because I wasn't on this the first few years on air. And when I read these documents, I understand some of it, but it's all meant to be Greek. It's all put in a military contractor parlance where the general public doesn't know what blue groups against red groups mean.
Exactly right. Well, let me go this. I'm on page 3 of the document, and there's only certain paragraphs that you really have to key in on to understand what it's all about. And it says, other efforts of the Operations Division, and Operations Division is exactly that. They oversee the operations of continuity of government. They are the contractor support with government oversight. So other efforts of the Operations Division includes initiatives such as Operation Rendezvous, or OPRON, Task Force Rendezvous, the development and integration of the Federal Emergency Response Official Repository System, National Security Special Event Contingency Support, Disaster Relief, and Humanitarian Assistance Contingency Support. And then it says additional efforts of the Operations Division include Geospatial Information System, which is like a tactical, a battlefield information. It gives a battlefield picture.
That's what I saw with the Marines, with big projectors on the wall where they have the satellites real time.
Yes.
Where they had the transponders as blue group. The militias they were practicing fighting in California were red group.
Right.
And they had Humvees with robot guns that anybody not in blue group was going to be killed. And this was 12 years ago.
Well, I mean, it's advanced. Same concept, but the technology has advanced somewhat. Blue Force situational awareness is what you're talking about, and in that sense, it's much like for years, for example, commercial aircraft have a transponder on it, and that system is called Interrogation Friend or Foe, IFF. That's what that stands for. And basically, Blue Force situational awareness is the exact same thing that you have with commercial aircraft, military aircraft, and everything else. They have a transponder where a signal goes out, the plane responds, and then on the operator's screen, you're going to either have like a circle, a square, or a triangle. And it's going to be either a circle for friendly, it's going to be a square for unknown, and a triangle for bad guy. And so that's what you have. Blue Force situational awareness is exactly that. So because of today's technology, I mean, a transponder can be I mean, look at RFID.
Well, our cell phones have the little triangulators, so we know they've actually used those. And so they've got a full battlefield scope. They can tie into cameras on the street, surveillance systems, satellites, drones, any of it. And so they know friend or foe. And this is talking about in continuity of government with camps, having people with their transponder badges in the blue group against the red group. And the red group is the American people, I guess.
Right. Well, this is the scary thing about when you talk blue force situational awareness. The first thing that I think about when I think of that is overseas in Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya and wherever we're waging illegal wars. That's where I envision blue force situational awareness. What I don't envision is having blue force situational awareness on our own soil, because it's almost too crazy to wrap your arms around. It's just too much to understand.
It's what Ron Paul said. NDAA is a declaration of war against the American people.
It is. It truly is. And, you know, even if, and here's the thing that people need to understand. A lot of these representatives and senators, of course, they don't read the bills. They don't do that. Same thing in government. These draft statements of work, 9 times out of 10, are written by the contractor, submitted back to the government, and the guy there, you know, he's just like, well, yeah, okay, I'll just pass this on through. Okay, fine, put my signature on it, and out it goes. So oftentimes, they don't even know what's in there. They just know that they get an overview. Okay, this is there, this is there, this is there. Make sure that you guys hit this point, and this point, and then they ship it on through. So if a company like Halliburton, who we know has ties to this elitist cabal, goes and writes a statement of work, there's no telling what's in there, and that's why it's important.
Oh, wow, I get it. They're actually influencing policy by the way the contracts are written, and the higher-ups don't even understand that.
Right, exactly right. That's the thing that people don't understand, is that part of the dumbing down of society, it hasn't only affected the masses, it's affected government as well. A lot of these government employees now don't even know how to write a statement of work. You know, and so. Well,
look, I've been studying this particular type of thing for 13, 14 years, and I barely have an elementary understanding. And I guess it's part of the complexity of the world allows corruption to hide in it.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's another this is extremely interesting, is on page 5. They come out with Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center. Now, I've been doing this for probably 3 or 4 years now. And like I said before, off air, it's because of you that I woke up and listening to your show.
Mount Weather is one of the alternate government heads, along with Colorado Springs and Cheyenne Mountain. I mean, they've made movies about martial law where Mount Weather runs it all.
Well, exactly right. But for years and years, they denied the existence of Mount Weather. And now, and when I say that, I mean, yes, we know Mount Weather's there. And they say, yes, it's a 564-acre Department of Homeland Security facility. But what people don't understand is, hey, look, it's a deep underground military base. It's one of those, just like Cheyenne Mountain and everything else.